This is Adam Simbe with This Week in Perspective. Last week, beginning on the 16th of October, for a week, the National Road Safety Week kicked off in the Kilimanjaro region with fanfare and exhibitions to demonstrate all aspects of road safety. And the theme was prevent accidents, obey the law, and save lives. This week was graced by the Vice President, Samia Suluhu Hassan. Viewers, road safety resulting in death on our roads is a serious matter, and it has been a subject of this discussion on this program for many times. Despite the good work of the police traffic in enforcing traffic rules, regulations, and the Traffic Act of 1973, many Tanzanians are still dying on our roads. To discuss the impact of the National Road Safety Week with me and many other related aspects with me today are, on my right, Mary Casey from WHO, that's the World Health Organization, which is very much involved and has a lot of writings on the issues of death on the road. Next is Dr. Bravias Kahyoza from Kampala International University. He's an economist and a regular participant on this program, but he will help us analyze the issues of the economy and the social implications of these road accidents, which are increasing every year. Next is another regular participant, but I call him an expert of road safety, Henry Bantu, from Fast Speed or Speed, whatever organization he is, but he's a consultant in road safety issues. And he's actually chairman of the organizing committee of the National Road Safety Week. Next, last but not least, Zafrina Mbai, sorry gentlemen, sorry viewers, Mbai, I got this name right actually, I don't know what happened. She's representing TAN Roads. Well, TAN Roads is very popular, it's very well known. Anything to do with roads, TAN Roads. Building, kicking out, demolishing houses to observe the 120 kilometers, people will say TAN Roads and they start blaming TAN Roads. So TAN Roads is TAN Roads, very important. And today, I'm very honored to have her here instead of the engineer Mfugale, the boss. But the four panelists will help us analyze these issues. And I say again, thank you very much, Mary. Thank you very much, Dr. Kahyoza. Thank you very much, Henry Bantu. Thank you very much. Bye. Now, I'll start with the very first question, and I would like all of you to respond to this, but I'll ask Henry Bantu to react to set the ball rolling. Why are many people in this country still dying on the roads despite road safety campaigns every year?
I think it's a very difficult question. It's a very difficult question in that the road safety situation in the country is appalling. But many of us, you see, got into this situation, the road safety, road safety situation, through, well, maybe it's a new phenomenon that we never expected to arrive sooner than now. As a result, many people still believe that accidents or even crashes are God-made or they are ordained by God. But what we have to instill upon our people is the fact that road accidents are caused. They don't just happen. And also we should remember that the culture of road safety is also something that is quite new to us. In fact, the whole area of safety is quite a new area to many of our people, in that we think that accidents that happen are, again, not caused, but they just happen. So we have to change the mindset of our people. Our people have got to know that road accidents are caused and that they don't just happen. Now, the function of the objective of the National Road Safety Week campaign, one of them is to let people know that these accidents on our roads are caused by so many other factors, principally 3 factors that have got a lot to do with the human factor, the vehicular factor, and also the road factor. The combination of these three.
For the benefit of the viewer, those
accidents.
3 causes are human factor,
The human factor,
the status of the vehicle,
Yes.
mechanical problems,
And the road.
3, and the road.
and the road, yeah.
Condition,
the combination,
situation, or the way it was constructed, whatever, but the
yes,
road.
yeah. The combination of these factors cause road accidents. No single cause is enough for accidents to happen. You need a combination of all these 3 factors. The interplay of all these will cause road crashes, and this is what is happening here. So we have got to educate our people, to enlighten our people on those human factors, the various human aspects that contribute to the causation of road crashes. And also you have got those vehicular factors that contribute to the causation of road crashes, and also the road factors that contribute. The road factors actually go together with the environmental factors that contribute to the causation of road crashes. Now, these 3 aspects are not automatic functions of the mind of everybody. You have to teach people to know how they cause accidents. And this is something that you don't just improve in a day or in a month. It has got to be a cultural change. It has got to involve a cultural change.
Well, it's a process.
Exactly, it's a process. And once we start getting into that culture of road safety, knowing the road safety culture, the situation will continue being still appalling. And you find that you have got the players, the various players in the road safety configuration, if you like.
Yes.
Those players are not yet united. When I say players, I'm talking about the engineers, the educators.
I mean, engineers who construct roads?
They design the roads,
Okay.
they construct roads,
Yeah.
they repair roads, and
Yes.
so on.
Maintain
Roads. And then you have got educators who have got to teach people how to use various roads, because whenever a road is constructed and is made to, is in use, the road use also has got to change. We have witnessed the Morogoro Road, for example.
Yes.
The Morogoro Road that we had 5 years ago is different today, particularly in terms of how we use it. And also you have got the enforcement part. When we talk about the enforcement part, you are talking about the policemen, you are talking about the courts and the like. And then you have got the encouragement. The encouragement is a part of the players. Now, encouragement consists of quite a number of professionals there, and technocrats. Like, for example, you have got those involved in the insurance. You have got the politicians are also there. You have got journalists are also involved. They've got to do something on road safety.
Or the media, as it were.
Exactly. And then you have got the other part, which we call the emergency preparedness part. Now, the emergency preparedness part is also wide. For example, an accident happens somewhere. You expect quite a number of people, a number of operatives to rush there and save the situation, because many of our people die during what is called the golden hour. The golden hour is the period between when an accident happens and when assistance arrives. Now, that period there is very, very crucial. You can lose life. And in our country, that is very, very common. For example, an accident happens somewhere. I think rarely do we see the fire brigade people rushing to that
Fire and
place.
rescue.
And
Is it the
also,
work of the fire and rescue, though?
part of it, yes. Yeah, that is part of their work. It isn't only to extinguish fire.
Or rescue in the
No,
building collapse?
we are also talking
From
about
the
the
road,
rescue. Now, the rescue aspect is also a paramount part of the fire brigade, the rescue and fire brigade. And also, you've got, for example, ambulances. Rarely do we see ambulances rushing to the accident scene. The only group that rushes faster is the group of policemen. Now, that is not right. That is not right. It should be a team going there, and each team having something to do at the scene.
But that team has to be coordinated, Henry Bantu.
Exactly.
Each one of them has a responsibility.
Now, that will
and a
be
task.
another part of our discussion here, how we go about coordinating the various players. That's why I said, there is quite a number of things we have got to do to improve, first, the institutional framework. The institutional framework involved with the road safety in the country. It's an area where we haven't been paying a lot of attention. And since we haven't been paying a lot of attention in that area, problems are going to continue, besetting us. So that's why, despite the National Road Safety Week campaign, accidents are still happening. But I'm glad to say that I think now the pace of, or even the level of awareness of the various players is increasing day after day.
Okay.
Many people are getting more and more concerned now, and we better do so because the predictions that are there are towards the fact that as we get more developed, and maybe as we get more industrialized, road crashes are going to continue in this country because road users will continue increasing.
Cars on the road will
Yes, road vehicles will continue increasing.
Pedestrians will...
Exactly, yeah, they are part. So there is something that we have got to start doing, and we better start doing more seriously now than ever before.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Dr. Kahyoza, you want to contribute to this?
Really, I'd like to allude to the facts he gave out in terms of the way the society is changing. In fact, if we were to discuss about road safety and what is happening at the moment, looking at in particular on the fatalities caused by these crashes, we find that it is on one side of the economic revamptions that are happening in this country and all over, I think, in the developed world. These people from WHO have been insisting, I think, on the values of development that is touching the majority in terms of ensuring that in whatever case we are talking about the infrastructures and development, we have to be looking, in fact, at the proper systems of the way people move from one point to another. And the last 2 days, I was reading a report about the East African countries in terms of road safety. It was very shocking that if you talk about the road traffic crashes in East Africa, Tanzania has the highest rate as per capita. If you look at the way they happen, if you look at the management of the road systems, if you look at he said about culture. So I think it's much of the growth and the increase, of urbanization. And this point is being articulated very well. If you are to go by the report by African Development Bank and the East African Community Secretariat, they found in 2015 that, for example, in Tanzania, the increase of the growth of urbanization, that is 5% increase, is directly related to the number of vehicles increasing in these urban centers, and therefore well connected to the deaths of these accidents. So there is one scenario of looking at it is about the way the actual development issues we are talking about. Okay, we want to have big cities, we want to see many towns. How do we position ourselves in terms of articulating these issues, not from the theoretical part, but on the practicality? So that's number one. Number two, I think, if you want to discuss, I think, in its entirety, why these accidents have been happening, why have we not combated the problems arising from road accidents, is also the way people think about road safety in particular. There is a notion here in Tanzania and East Africa that road safety is all about the policemen, is all about the traffic laws and traffic regulations. Yes, it is, but it is not the whole truth. Look, I was reading the report, the police force report in conjunction with NBS report from the Ministry of Finance. Chapter 3, they were discussing about, the report of 2016, they're discussing about road safety. And they are having shocking figures, well analyzed, when they tried to group these areas whereby you get a lot of accidents. For example, they talk about the motorcycle-related accidents. And
Motorcycle, that's a boda.
the border thing. I know a lot of accidents are happening from that angle. But you know, it is simply because the border drivers, the people around the border drivers, are not thinking that they are part of road regulations. They are not a part of road safety. Rather, it's about the traffic and the vehicle drivers. So that's why you see a lot of these issues happening. But the other thing is, I think, the demographic factors. And this can be propounded to the point of I said earlier, about urbanization. Because if you are having the growth, the population growth rate that is a bit skewed in terms of the young people, because we see much of these accidents are affecting the group that is most productive, between 18 years to 45 years. And as the number increases, these people are finding new ways of earning their living. And therefore, they find the opportunities in towns. Once they go in towns, what happens is that everything that gives you something to take, to eat, is what you have to be doing. You don't consider anymore what makes you more safer. And these statistics are showing that when we talk about recklessness about these drivers, it's more connected to these young people driving border and such kind of vehicles. So I think it's also about the way we think about the population, or I mean the demographic changes in the society, and how we look into that. The last point I would like to make is, when we talk about economic growth, economic development, most people have been asking, is it about the infrastructures? Is it about like roads, as we say?
Money in the pocket.
Is it about that really? I think the question about road safety is bringing us to social economics and trying really to bring that connection, because a number of people who are dying in these crashes mostly are the poor people, not the rich people. WHO, for example, they alluded it, they articulated it very well in 2015, whereby they showed that the number of people dying in road accidents, most of them, 90% of those, are from the least developed countries, despite the fact that they own a half of the vehicles all over the world.
10%.
10%. What does it tell?
We are poor, yet we own 10% of the total
of the vehicles. But look, if you are to go by the analysis of these data, you find this is the fact that is spotting only in towns. And therefore, and you can see people talking about, oh, it's road safety. But why are we talking about that? Because we are seeing a lot of people dying in Mwanza, dying in Arusha, dying in but the other side of looking at it is that these people have been moving from their rural areas coming into towns to earn a living for their parents in the villages. What does that tell you? Is that road safety is not about an issue of urbanization, industrialization, but rather about the way people live, particularly in the connection between those who are in the villages and these who are here. And when we'll be analyzing the effects, the economic impact of that, we'll come to the point in which we can get into deeper clarifications.
Very interesting when you refer or put emphasis on the age of people who mostly die on the road between 18 and 45. So Engineer Mfugale of Town Roads told me something, and I laughed actually when I was talking to him on the phone, trying to get him here. Instead, of course, Zaffarino came. He said, Mzee Simbe, when you learned how to drive and you are driving at your age, how did you feel when you were in the car? I said, oh, I felt nice. Did you? I said, yes. Did you feel you were in control of the car? I said, well, I felt it's nice to drive a car and show off. He says, well, this is what is happening now. But the way you drive now, and I'm sure you drive, you don't have the same feelings. I said, absolutely. After almost 60-something years of driving. So there's something here which, as Bantu said, a bit of education is required. Let me ask Mary Case from WHO. There are certain issues that Dr. Kahyoza has raised. What is really WHO doing to bring home the message that road accidents have a very serious impact on a number of things, social as well as economic?
First I want to correct. We no longer call accidents, we say crashes, Mr. Bantu.
Oh,
Yes.
you call them crashes,
yes,
not accidents.
Unplanned. But what we believe at the WHO, one, we can prevent the accident, and we can the crashes,
yes,
as well as reduce the impact. We know that crashes are caused by more than 75%, 76% in Tanzania are caused by human errors. So what we do, what are these human errors? One, we talk about speeding. We talk about drink and driving. We talk about wearing seat belts and how children are safe in transportation. They can use seat belt, but there are other devices that they can use. So we're talking about child restraint, and we are talking about helmets. Those are 5, but again...
Can I add the 6?
Yes, please.
It's a fashion now to feel fun and cozy, to drive on your left while you are on the phone.
Mobile use. So going back to what WHO is doing and the impact of National Road Safety Week. One, we believe that National Road Safety Week is not a medicine, it's not a cure for what's happening on the road, but it's coming together, having national discussions, bringing actors together and educate. But through that 1 week, we can reach all the Tanzanians, but we can come together, the Town Roads, the National Road Safety Council, the WHO, and brainstorm and strategizing like, okay, what next? So I know after the National Road Safety Week, we'll have a report and discuss what we need to do. And at WHO, one, we normally produce a report. It's called Road Safety
Is it a global?
Yes, it's a global. It's a global report where we say the status of roads globally, and you have a chapter for every country. And for Tanzania, like he said, we are not doing very well. The impact and the number of death is very high.
Surely, Mary Casey, apart from the report, we can see it practically on the TV every other day.
Every other
People
day.
dying.
And also what we insist, one, we need to change the legal and policy framework to address the human factors, the human error, the 75%.
Okay.
We address through legislation. We can also address through comprehensive enforcement. We don't blame the police, they are trying their best. But if you have a good law which address the risk factors, the six, you're adding up the six risk factors. And then we also have a very comprehensive education. Start from the primary school, from the schools, the media. That's why we are working with lawyers in the country. Mr. Banto and other actors know about this program. It is a 5-year program that's implemented in 5 countries. And in Africa, Tanzania is only the country that implements this road safety program, where we look on the legislation, we work with media to educate the public, and also to engage with policymakers to make sure that the 76% of the human errors, don't forget about the 8% of the road infrastructure, it's only 8%, and 16% is about the vehicle condition. But what
The highest is human error.
76.
76.
Yes, percent.
The next is
Vehicle condition.
vehicle condition, which is 16%.
Yes.
And the last,
Infrastructure.
but not least, is infrastructure, that the roads and all, which is what, 8%?
Yes, 8%. 8%.
You're doing very well there.
No, we are not blaming them. And yeah, but so we need to work on that, as I said, through legislation, through coordination. Bantu said, we were in Moshi. Doesn't mean that we are talking to each other, just TANROADS, the usual actors. Where's the community? How do we strategize to reach out to the community during that week? Well enough, we got a very good high political commitment. We had the Vice President blessing the event, also making some good statement. So after Moshi, what next? What did she say on speech? How do we put into action what
Because I read part of her speech. She emphasized the question of enforcement, and particularly looking at the law. Maybe you stakeholders should come together and devise and advise for involvement of a new and much stronger.
That's what we are doing.
law.
But again,
Okay.
if I may add something, if you were to listen her very carefully, she had said something about public health issue. This is no more about the mechanics of roads and anything about coordination. It has become more of a public health matter. And how do we bring on board when it comes to coordination, as they say, that these people are always, if you look in practicalities, it's not intention that they're sidelined. But of course, I think the circumstances and the way we view the road safety issue is naturally and automatically sidelining them. If you are to solve the systemic problem, not the systemic, the systemic one, if you were to solve it that way, you will eventually fail, because it talked about the golden time, not golden hour. If you are to look at these fatalities, it's simply because there is no connection between the public health sector and the road facilitation of these people who have been injured. And I think it's not about that people are discussing about it. If you have to go by different reports, for example, it was in 2016, I read one of the shocking articles from it was called the Pan-African Medical Journal. One of the ways they were instigating so much is how do you bring in the public health sector into that equation of solving it. And they gave examples about, if you have to look at where you have the fewer chances of dying on road accidents, like the countries like Sweden, is that they have made it because this thing has been brought into this particular equation. I think going forward, we cannot afford eliminating this and not putting it in that.
That's the public health sector.
That's a public
Okay.
sector.
Did you finish, Mary?
Yes.
All right. Let's hear now from Zafarani. TANROADS, only 8% is contributing to the death. That is infrastructure, which means we can't hold not not necessarily TANROADS, but the roads to account for themselves. Why are people dying on the same roads? What is it that is happening on these roads? And Bantu referred to it, but the roads are constructed, but do they take, I mean, you TANROADS and the other constructors,
Yes.
do you take into account the safety aspects and some of those symbols, signs you put on the road?
Okay, thank you very much. For me, respond on that is that TANROADS, as a manager of the roads, meaning including construction, maintenance, yeah, that's our major activity. But also consideration of, installation of road signs or management of road safety is a paramount, as you have said. But why people are dying despite of, having these road safety week campaigns? To me, what I can see much is ignorance. Ignorance of, some road users. Because construction of the road is not that simple. This I can say. There are guidelines, there are manuals which guide on how our road should be designed, on how our road should be constructed.
And how they should be used.
And how they should be used, exactly.
And how they should be maintained.
Exactly, right? What I'm saying is ignorance is because we have this, as you have said, we have road signs, we have road marking, we have different facilities on the road.
Don't speed here.
Yes.
Slow down here.
Here,
Speed
limit is 50. And here is the end of 50. But
The road
users, they don't follow.
They don't have the time.
No, they don't have time.
So that's a human
They
effort
do
again.
what they like. So that's the human error. As you have said, we have only 8% contribution to the road crashes, madam. So we are doing a lot of things to consider safety of the road. But people, they don't want to follow the regulations that we have because they're explaining how road should be used. And this is why, as TANROADS, during Road Safety Week, we participate.
I think I saw you explain.
You saw me explain, yes.
I think,
on
yes,
TVC,
I
right?
did, yes. You explained to the Vice President.
Yes.
Yes.
And the reason why we like so much to participate in this campaign is to educate people at large, to create awareness to the people on how safe the road should be used. Because, okay, we may construct the road, but people, they don't know those signs, what they mean. But if you go there and you tell people, and the good thing is that this Road Safety Week campaign move around the country. So if you don't get people here, maybe in Dar es Salaam, you'll get them maybe in Arusha and Kilimanjaro, as we did, and so many other places. But others, they can get this knowledge through these, educative materials, brochures, and things like that. But on TV, as you said, that's why we like to participate during Road Safety Week.
Zafrina,
Yeah.
does TANROADS have its own campaign, not waiting for September to take part in the National Road Safety Campaign? Do you have a regular program to educate road users on how to use the road?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a good question. Within TANROADS, apart from Road Safety Week campaigns, we have our own programs. And especially when the road is just completed, I mean newly completed roads, we go there to the communities to educate them on how safe those roads should be used. So we move around. For example, if the road is finished, maybe Same Mkumbara, for instance, we went there. We educated the people. We created awareness on how they should use the road safely.
When did you go last to this road?
I can't remember because this was a long time. I can't remember. But what I can say is that sometimes having too much during the design, the pace of to do this activity is reduced. But we have plans. We have budget for that. Okay, so this is
And of course,
within TANROADS.
as you rightly said, the road users are human beings. Once you finish educating them on this lovely new road, it's an impetus for them, for the road users, to speed, to do all sorts of things. And the villagers chew sugarcane, they throw on the road,
Yes.
all sorts of things.
Yeah.
They forget.
Before you move from that
Yes.
point, I think she made a clinical clarification on the way they manage, I think, the roads in terms of construction. But I think we shouldn't push away that if we do agree that urbanization and industrialization, therefore population growth, leads to these problems, in which you find that the number of vehicles is increasing exponentially, therefore outpacing the way infrastructures are made, then we have to agree that we still have a big problem in terms of the way we do construct our roads. Yes. It doesn't mean that the buck stops with you necessarily, yes. But I think it's a combination of many sectors. The way we plan, for example, our cities, the way we plan our everything about the way. Look at
it rained.
Look
in
about
Islam.
That's what I wanted to say.
Absolutely impossible.
Once it rains cats and dogs, you find that the way we construct our, particularly the mainstream and the flank roads, you find that there is a big problem. Therefore, it doesn't rely only on you again, but I think we need to magnify the way we do planning, particularly in cities.
In addition, I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think what Zafarani here said, and also Mary pointed out, of course you have got Brevius. I think all what we are talking here hinges upon the fact that there is one factor which is the most important in solving the whole problem that we are facing now, and that is education and training.
Yes.
Because we can talk about the roads, yes, but the main controller of how to use this road is still the human factor. And this human factor, there are other studies which have shown that much as we say 76% of road accident causation is contributed by the human factor. But there is also another study which says of the 76%, 62% of these road crashes are, the shareholder, the main shareholder is the driver. And looking at the driver today, you find that even vehicle owners don't give a lot of attention to the education and the training of this driver. How he should use these roads, how he should handle the vehicles. Even in a situation like we have now, with these rains, torrential rains, well, there is a way of voyaging through these roads safely. But people are ignorant. Some of them now, you find them in ditches. And some of them don't even assess the roads before they try to cross. Just this morning, a school bus was stuck. A school bus full of kids was stuck in the middle of a river. This guy was just, trying his level best to cross, but he never made the necessary assessment that he should in order to cross this river. So what I'm saying...
Was it a river or was it a flooded road or whatever?
Well, maybe it could be both. You never know.
Okay.
So I'm saying that the educational factor is something that we should give more attention now. Because even our drivers, you see, have got a long way, have come a long way to be. You find that what is called in the Driving School Act of 1965, that one point has got a provision somewhere. It says, any experienced driver and licensed can teach another one to drive a vehicle and get a license. Now you find that, which means you could teach me how to drive.
Yes.
You can teach my house girl.
Yes.
The Shamba boys.
Exactly, to drive. But what syllabus are you using to teach me? Now, is this driver trained in Bukoba? The same quality is of the same quality with this driver trained in Shinyanga, or even in Mtwara, or Mbeya, or
Let
Tanga.
alone Dar es Salaam.
You find that exactly. So you find that the type of drivers that are on the roads today are very heterogeneous. Heterogeneous in the sense that each one for himself or herself, and God for us all. We don't have the same way, the same mode of driving. And many of us don't realize that road safety is for sharing, and that even these roads have got to be shared. So you find that those driving bigger vehicles like trucks are bullying those driving smaller vehicles like saloons.
Yes.
Those driving saloons are bullying the borders.
So those driving four-wheel drives are,
Yeah.
are bullying those
Exactly.
who are two-wheel drives.
And the borders look down upon these guys, cyclists. And the cyclists don't care about the
Pedestrians.
exactly, and so on and so forth. It's chaotic. So there is this area of education, I say, which has got to be given a lot of priority, and we should not think that, for example, defensive driving, that how to drive safely on the road, the techniques of performing the various driving subtasks are automatic functions of the mind of every driver. So we have to get trained.
Okay, Henry, before I come to what the economic and social impacts of increasing traffic accidents and death on the road, maybe Mary and Dr. Kahyoza will respond. For this particular question, both Zafarani can respond. Are traffic rules, regulations, and laws effective, and are roads safe enough for pedestrians and children? Very quickly.
Thank you very much. This is a good question. We have rules, we have regulations. As I said before, we may provide all facilities, very important facilities. We have rules, but road users, they don't want to use them.
Or they steal
They
them.
misuse them sometimes. For instance, we have provided by bus bays, parking, terminals, walkways, pedestrians, zebra crossing,
No pedestrian.
pedestrian bridges, I mean.
Okay.
A good example of Morocco. People, they don't want to use that bridge.
You mean that one in Buguruni?
The other one, yes, Buguruni, a nice one.
Oh, this one
that
in
one was
Kimara?
Yes. Even you can remember
Every other
the
day
first
people are
bridge.
knocked down there.
Manzese
Yeah.
bridge, the first bridge, pedestrian bridge. That one, people are not using it. Instead, they're just going there for exercising, taking photos, and yes, things like that. I don't know why, So these are the causes.
Mentality and culture.
Did I say we have got a long way to go?
Okay,
way
at
to go.
times we have this problem of vandalism. We provide road signs because we cannot receive a road from contractor which has no road signs adequately according to the requirements in the contract. But sometimes when they install those road signs, within overnight, you find them stolen. Leave apart
Chuma
those
chakavu.
chuma chakavu. So that one is a big problem because a driver or another road user, he doesn't get the message or the information, what is ahead of him. They, found themselves into accident. That's another problem.
But Zafarani,
Yes.
I have a concern, and I always talk about it. I know the Morocco, I know the Kimara.
Yes.
You will walk, I don't know how many minutes. I'll go 9, 10. I always count and sing as I go. It's not user-friendly. So if I had an opportunity to just jump down and cross the road
Rather
1
than
minute,
going like this.
exactly, you go and go. So it needs to be user-friendly. And keep in mind our roads. We have most of the roads are mixed road users. You have a boda boda, you have a guta, you have everything all together. So I think we still have something to do with the way we construct our road. The walking here, even cycling, is very, very difficult. You really have to get prepared. So I think as we move, we need to address the 80%.
So again, something to do with the design, maybe.
Yeah, the design.
Yeah,
And urban planning in general.
exactly,
I think.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you respond to my question? But the question of traffic rules, regulation, and laws, are they effective or they're not effective? Henry.
Traffic rules and regulations? No, I wouldn't
No,
say
meaning
they
they're
are.
not effective? Or they are?
I mean, they are not effective.
Yes.
The laws are okay, they are there.
I mean,
The implementation, well, we know what it is. But I'm saying they are not effective because there is this, we come back to the culture, road safety culture. If we don't have the road safety culture, we cannot appreciate the existence of any law.
Yes.
And what the police traffic is doing. We can't.
Yeah, but I find it very uneasy to keep on talking about the traffic police, as if road safety is theirs. They are not exclusive owners of road safety. In any country, they are just contributors to the maintenance of road safety in a country. Each one of us has got a role to play. And sometimes even the police, you see, just take advantage of the ignorance that Zaffarano or Bravias mentioned, the ignorance existing in the country. In that there is this guy who doesn't know what he's doing on the road. He makes a stupid mistake, and he meets this police, and he's in a hurry. He doesn't want to argue with him. So invariably, he will find a way of silencing him faster and have his way. This is what is going on now.
And the vice president actually was very serious.
Yeah,
She
but
warned on that. All right.
rarely do you see a policeman, a traffic policeman, really demanding, corruption.
No.
From this guy. No, these people volunteer to make it.
In corruption, there's no volunteering.
But going back
But-
to how effective,
Yes.
Mr. Bantu, I think I'll differ with you.
I'm trying to rush because we have 10 minutes.
1973.
Yes.
This law is of 1973. We are now in 2017. How old is our road traffic?
Okay.
What are the economic change? What are the institutional reform? There are so many other things which has
So it
happened.
has to
So
be
it's a
changed,
time
yeah.
that we need to change the road traffic rules.
And that's why the VP said you stakeholders should come
Exactly.
together and discuss this thing and say you recommend for a change of the Traffic Act.
Yeah, what Mary is saying here, she's right. If we look at it from that angle, in that the law is very old. It was enacted in 1973, and even the existence of the council, which is mentioned in that law, Section 96, came in place in 1977. So you find that during that time, you see, the spirit of volunteerism was very much alive among the people. So the law is in such a manner that road safety in this country should be dealt with in a voluntary manner, and that's why even the council is not even funded by the government.
Oh dear. All right. Thank you for that point. Very quickly, because we have to touch on the issue of the economic and social impacts of increasing traffic accidents and deaths on the road. How serious is the economic impact on the country's economy as well as on the social impact? Because those who are dying leave families behind. Quickly.
It's a very serious indeed, and let me look into a number of issues quickly. One, researchers have shown that there is a direct relationship between these crashes towards morbidity and the mortality, and there is a hike, there is an increase of those people who are, for example, nowadays in Tanzania, many people are getting injuries, and therefore that leads to morbidity and mortality, and they are getting a lot a big number of people in that category. And this now affects how their family operations in terms of the economic concern is. Number two, you look at the way young people involve themselves in the new ventures of economic activities. If you are to go by the statistics of Equality for Growth in this country, 93% of all Tanzanians are in the informal sector. And that means only 7% in the formal sector. The informal sector includes these people indulging themselves in border driving. If they are so involved in such kind of activities, then you need the laws to protect them. You need about the education they're saying, how they can be safe, because that's where they feed their families. For example, in Dar es Salaam, it is calculated that almost the border people are contributing to 2 billion shillings a year to the economy of Dar. And Dar, mind you, that if you have to go by the collections of the whole country, accounts for almost 86% of the total revenues. You are having more than 30,000 young people involving themselves in these issues. So it's very important to look at it. But going to the other part is about productivity and the way how this productivity is defined. And Mr. Simbe, I think I have to thank you on behalf of the poor people in this country for your much kinds, because people, when talk about road safety, they normally don't talk really the social and economic impact on this. Look here, if you put it into the productivity issue, it is estimated, for example, in East Africa, that we lose almost $5 billion a year in terms of these crashes. Now, how does it come? If you are to calculate about the number of deaths in every country and their lifespan productivity, you find that you are losing that much, that amount of money. But then if you go back to Tanzania, we say earlier on that in Tanzania, the chances of dying from these accidents is 20 to 30 times higher than, for example, in Sweden or in the USA. And Tanzania is leading in East Africa. So you can see, if you are to go by, if you are to disintegrate these figures of 5 billion, Tanzania takes the lion's share in terms of the costs we are facing. The last thing I want to talk about, the social and economic impact, is that you are having now, because of the mode of our economy, the way it is moving, you are finding that you are getting a lot of money from a lot of manpower from the rural areas coming into these towns, and there they face these problems of like the death we were talking about. What does that tell you is that if we take a lot of money from there in terms of the manpower, and here on manpower, I don't mean particularly the body of a person, I mean about productivity. If you are losing them, that means you are trying to disconnect development between what is happening in the urban centers and what is happening in the rural areas. I think this is very crucial, and I think the social economists have to come on board, I think, to start articulating and giving the way forward rather than leaving it to these experts on the road accidents.
Well,
crashes.
Thank you very much. I wish we could go on and on, but the time is up now. So let's quickly, for the next 1 or 2 minutes, my director would allow me to let you to go through, and very quickly, less than 1 minute, to say what is the challenge or what are the challenges that are ahead in terms of facing road safety in the country. Very quickly, Mary.
I think one of the biggest challenges, and where the WHO comes in, is overwhelming to the health sector. The victims are so many, you have to treat them, you have to take care of them, and the money that are being used to treat this victim of traffic, they can be used to something else. That's why we are working towards addressing the human behavior and making sure that the police and legal framework address and have a strong mechanism. And the challenge I know that the road safety is facing is also about the budget allocation. the TANROADS construct, but they don't tell you and come and monitor you how you behave on the road. We don't even have a national budget. The Road Safety Council is not even having a vote, a sub-vote into the national budget. So the challenge of budgeting, the legal framework, and the coordination, we need to work on.
Very quickly.
I think addressing the problems arising from this, let's have an holistic approach rather than seeing it as something that emanates from the experts as far as road safety is concerned. If we can do that, we'll bring on board particularly the factors from the economic perspective. I think that is the most important thing we have to look at if we are to solve, I think, the problem of poverty. Going forward, coordination, as he pointed out, is very crucial.
Thank you. Henry,
Yeah,
very quickly.
on my part, I would say that the establishment of a road safety culture, the establishment of a road safety culture in the country is very, very important, and has got to be we have got to start working on it now. And then, of course, the education and training of road users of all classes and categories has got to be intensified. But what is really important, maybe the most important, is the road safety management system in the country. It has got to be revisited.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Last but not least, very
my side-
quickly.
Okay, thank you very much. I
one
have
second.
about 4 challenges or 5. The first challenge on our side as TANROADS is the vandalism problem, as I explained before. We are installing road signs, but they're taken away by people. But another one is encroachment on the road reserve and other facilities, as I mentioned previously, like walkways, bus bays, and this for developments and the businesses. We have that problem all over the country. But recently we had research, and we found that we have another big contributor, and this is the use of super single tires by transporters of heavy vehicles. This is a big problem and is contributing to the deterioration of our roads. Yes. So this is another challenge. We have also a challenge of climate change. As you can see, today is raining too much, and we expect something on our roads.
And some of the roads will be
as
washed
you have
away.
seen, yes.
So if they are washed away, you did not build them properly.
So we're expecting a lot of emergencies, but also insufficient fund, as Mary mentioned. We want to do a lot to improve road safety in our road, but what we get is not enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My panelists, thank you very much for all your contributions. Viewers, you heard the views of my 4 panelists here. These are their views. They are not the views of the moderator, that's me, or they do not represent the views of TBC, but their personal experience and professional views. We thank them for that contribution. For now, I can only say this is all we have for you today. Until next Sunday at the same time, and on Thursday at 15 hours for the repeat program. On behalf of my panel, Mary Casey, Dr. Brevius Kahyoza, Henry Bantu, Zaharani Mbai, Zafarani Madai, I beg your pardon, Mama. Yeah, I'll get to know your name. Yeah. And my TBC crew, of course. Thank you, viewers, and goodbye.